Hi, I am Josephine Renee, and today I would like to talk about Tress and the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. So I've had a look at his opening chapters that he read himself on his channel and everything like that, and I'm just going to go through sort of my initial reactions to that and everything like that. First of all, I love it so much, and it's got all this romance and it's written so nicely and lovely. Oh, I'm so keen for it, but I've got to say it's giving me One Piece vibes. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's the sea is the devil fruit, and it's lost the ability to swim and it can't hold the properties of water kind of thing. Or the sea is the devil fruit, and it's just too overpowered at the moment that it will then eventually someone will eventually find some way to ingest it and get the magical properties from it kind of thing, and that might be our sort of magic system, or there will be something but I'm getting One Piece vibes. And that's kind of cool. I like that. It's a bit different. I also love that this is written for Emily, his wife, and that he did it as a surprise for her, and it's so sweet, and that Emily wanted to see more romance, and it was just kind of written for her, and it's so sweet. And this is the very first secret project that he wrote, and I love it. I already love it from what has been said, but I am really worried because I love the romances that he writes, and I'm so keen for a book that has more of that in it / as more a central focus. But with Mistborn, that was one of the first things I read, and I read the audiobook in basically a night. I listened to the whole thing. I couldn't stop until it was daytime, 7 o'clock, and I was okay, now I'm finished, because Vin and Ellen's relationship was just so good. It just kept me there. The world building is great and stuff like that, but if you don't have the right characters interacting with it, and things that keep you within the world, and why you want to stay there, and they got me through it, sort of thing. And so I can read his massive books, but I stopped reading Stormlight Archive because you have Shallan and Kaladin, and they have so much chemistry together, so much. I love them. They go, but then Shallan is engaged in an arranged marriage with Adeline, and no, the one thing I respect about Adeline is that he was yeah, you know what? Sometimes I pee my suit. That's at least what I got from the conversation, kind of thing. That sometimes I pee my shard plate, and I can respect a man who's willing to admit that. And it also, I can't believe I never thought about it too, for all those knights who are wearing shining armor, and that sometimes in battle, if you're going for a really long time, you don't have time to stop and pee. So that I get that. That was okay. But the boot scene, that boot scene had me for Kaladin and Shallan, and now we're getting gloves. So I don't know. But I'm just it would suck that Charlie's in this arranged marriage with the evil sorceress, and I'm it said evil sorceress too much that I'm she can't possibly be an evil sorceress kind of thing. It's he's gonna end up with her, and they'll actually find that they have so much more in common and that they're better for each other, and then Tress will go off and try and find him, but end up finding someone better to love kind of thing, and better calling or something, and that'll be it. It'll be Stormlight Archive all over again. Apparently Adeline gets better. But I stopped at the cave scene. I was no. I googled does Shallan and Kaladin get together? And nope. And I was well, I'm not gonna read you anymore. And maybe if you convince me, I'll give it another go. But it was it was just that's not fair. And I get that I was sort of hoping for a good sort of representation of an arranged marriage and different kinds of matrimony within fantasy that's portrayed well, But why give the other characters more chemistry then? Huh? I am going to get into spoilers for this book. Do not proceed if you don't want to be spoiled. And you should read it without the spoilers. But I'm gonna get into them because I have to for this book. I really need someone to talk to about it. Like, Emily, where you at? Because I can see exactly what she meant. Like, she was like, you have to share this with the world because, like, I need people to talk to about it. And, like, Emily, please. It's so good. So, like, please leave if you don't want spoilers because I am getting into them for this book. It is so good. Okay, so the rat was Charlie. And I'm glad I did the, like, my hypothesis kind of video of, like, what I think is gonna happen, because I think that set me up perfectly for, like, being twisted by it kind of thing. Like, I love the Hoid, like, audiobook narration. It is done so well. It's so beautiful. It fits the world. The voice is amazing. Like, it's got this witty, like, Sando can really capture words and, like, bend them to his will to make them, like, funny and engaging. And that is so hard to do. Like, I know his humor isn't everyone's, but this whimsical way of it, and from being an author, I can understand how hard it is to manipulate words in these ways. So I think it's brilliant. And I love how, because it's Hoid, he has so much authority within these worlds. Like, it's this wit mixed with this, like, he can actually tell you, you know, the sky is purple and made out of hedgehogs, and you believe him. Like, he has that capability. And so you just trust what he's saying, even though in a logical, you know, normal sense, we don't have a world like that. We trust that it's just that suspension of disbelief. He does that really, really well. And how it seamlessly blends into Tress's inner monologue and, like, inner thoughts is masterful. Like, it is done really, really well. And the fact that Sando based this story off, like, Charlie is supposed to be based off him and Tress is supposed to be based off his wife, Emily, I think that is just so beautiful and so gorgeous, because even though the book isn't narrated by Charlie, there is so much love for Tress within these pages. And I think that is really, really good. And you can see how much, like Sando talks about how much Emily does behind the scenes, that she runs this ship. And you can see that despite Charlie having the money and, like, all these other things, it is Tress who, like, commands this ship, and Charlie is just there to love her and keep her safe and help her, and he is just devoted to her and helping her run the ship because she is the captain of it. She wears the pants, you know? Like, this is brilliant. And I love how there is that representation of, like, Charlie is his, like, a character that mimics himself. They're like, you know, it's a little self-insert, but done really well. And then Hoid is, like, his ethereal self, you know, like, as authors, like, it's just, you know, this immortal being, impervious to time, who can withstand all these different things and has this time to put the words right. I know everyone's always shocked at me and my, like, how my limited vocabulary, mostly consisting of swears, and, like, how I can't string proper sentences together for, like, love stories like Charlie, somehow equates to, like, being a writer, and you can, like, have the time to make a character like Hoid. Like, I don't know, it's funny, you have definitely those two selves. I think part 1 of this book was my favorite. It was the most typical romance-like and had all of those elements of, you know, a standard romance. And it was just beautiful. At this point, I stopped wanting to believe my hypothesis and started getting really scared for it. And I knew that even if Tress found some other thing she loved, I would still miss those opening chapters and those moments with Charlie. So yeah, Sandy is really, really good at following structure though. Like, he is really phenomenal at it, and phenomenal at it at changing it just slightly each time. So he has his style, but he just tweaks it to kind of like throw you off a little bit, and I think that was really good. He does successes moderated with setbacks really well throughout this. So like, for instance, Tress gets off the island, which they've set up is really, really difficult to do. But then the complication with that is that she is then poisoned and held prisoner. So that's done really well. And when she's held there, that is where she meets Huck the rat. And although he's not trying to lie to us when we first meet him, he is telling us these misguided things that, because it's the first time we're meeting this character, we really associate him with those things. So I thought that was also done really, really well. And then we also meet Hoid, and it's amazing, like the quirky things that he is given each time. And we also meet the rest of the crew, who we just absolutely fall in love with each and every character within this book. And I think that's what makes it the coziest kind of thing, because you're with all the people you want to be with. In part 3, we see how much agency is given to Tress as a character. And as readers, we love to see that. We love to see characters who are in charge of their own destiny. And I think that's why, like most protagonists, when you read them, you don't really associate with them so much. But I love Tress, and I think I mostly love her because of like how great a person she is, but because of the actions that she chooses to take. So first of all, she chooses to follow Charlie of her own volition. She chooses to walk the Spore Sea, and in part 3, chiefly, she chooses to stay on the ship to try and find him. And she is given those options at every turn. She is given those choices to make. And so the whole story is very Tress driven, but there is this saying from Hoid, and it goes, even small actions have consequences. And while we can often choose our actions, we rarely get to choose our consequences. And I think that perfectly sums up character versus plot driven stories. This is very character driven, yet you can still propel the story forward through plot as the author chooses what consequences happen. And it's actually really, really hard to do. And within this, it is done masterfully. Like, it is really, really good. So if you want to know how to write successes and setbacks well, look at this. It's done really well. The other thing is the evil sorceress. Like, she's described as evil so many times, and weirdly you're waiting for her not to meet that. Like, you see her curse people and you're still like, no, but she has to be good or something. There has to be some twist to this. And I wonder if that's almost done on purpose, because you are waiting for that twist, even though you've seen her curse people. And, people have said, she's horrible. But then in real life, we're like, no, they've changed. And then usually they end up being as horrible as described. Like, I wonder if that was, I don't know, done on purpose. So there's also a dragon in this novel. And it was around that kind of time where I was like, okay, so we got 6 chapters of genuine romance between Tress and Charlie. And now we're up to chapter 36 of like pirate adventure. And I was like, yep, okay, this isn't your typical love story. It's a love story about like her and everything with her crew and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's okay. But then we get to this point where like they've ported and Charlie has ran off, and now he's bringing these stories back from the town and everything. And I like stopped. I think it was like page 201. And I was like, I went to go right at the top. I went to go like write, like annotate it at the top, like Charlie is the rat. And I got like to Charlie is, and I was like, oh, but like the rat had this whole story about his family being rats, and like, like that just sounds ridiculous. Like, despite the fact that he's a talking rat, I was like, no, Charlie has the rat. No, it's just ridiculous. And so I stopped. And it's got like that start, but it's like, yeah. And it's funny because the other reason why I really love this book is that there are 3 main types of story. So there is man versus environment, man versus man, and man versus monster. Those are the 3 types of stories there are. And zombie movies do them really well, like this book does, where you have like man versus the environment, of like man versus like disease, or like, there's no fuel and they have to walk these places, and like or they're like stuck in some cliff place and they don't know where they're going. And then man versus man, someone's trying to like steal their stuff, or like, you know, trying to like capture them, and cannibalism. And then, you know, 3, man versus the zombies sort of thing. And that's why people love those kind of stories. And that's also why I love this story, because you have man versus environment, which is the spores and everything like that. And then you have man versus man again, which is like Tress versus Crow, which is both this like woman showdown, also love. And then you have man versus like the multiple monsters which are in this book. So you have like the dragon, you have the sorceress, and then you have all the like little monsters in the water and everything like that, which is really, really cool and really well done. So that's cool. And then I also absolutely love the exchange between Fort and Tress, how, you know, he's giving her, like bringing this food to her, and Tress thinks it's like the slop at the end of the night. Like she just thinks it's like he's just scraped the bottom of the barrel, but he's actually been setting aside, you know, like the good food for her and everything like that. And I really love that, because my grandfather went through a similar thing. Like he was young in Zimbabwe, and then he went to the butcher and he asked for like the offcuts of meat and everything like that. And the butcher actually gave him the good stuff. And he didn't realize like that this had been going on for years. That when he moved to Australia and he went to a butcher and asked for the offcuts and everything, I don't know what they're called, but just like the dregs kind of thing. I think they're mostly meant for dogs, like just, you know, the sort of rubbish of the meat kind of thing. And then he ate it and he was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And then he realized that for years, this guy had been taking care of him and looking after him. And I can only imagine the realization of like someone caring about you and you having no idea, and you're in this like new country and you realize how much they like cared for you. Like it's really sweet. And I think that's really beautiful. And so I loved that moment because it reminded me of my grandfather and everything. So yeah. Chapter 46 was where I again had a moment like, does Huck know too much about Charlie? Like I don't remember Tress telling Huck about Charlie this intently, but immediately after that, and when you start getting these thoughts of, it literally states, there was another emotion that made people even more loyal. Unfortunately, it was an emotion she had never truly understood, and if Crow had a nightmare, it was standing before her now, in the form of a small, shivering girl who had somehow earned the love that Crow had never known. And it literally says that, you know, her and her crew love each other. Like, come on, it's mostly about the crew, and it's mostly about, like, the love that exists there. And if you have to... I know I heard this once that it was like, if you had to replace the word love with anything else, it would be loyalty. And how just loyal they are to each other is just, I love it so much. And then she comes back from the dragon with gifts for them all. From the Father Christmas dragon is what I always call those dragons, like the one in Raymond E. Feist, where they just come back with gifts. It's brilliant. I love it. And I'm probably using way too many quotes, but this book is very quotable. So it goes, but after spending ages walking around with everyone piling bricks in your arms, it can throw you off balance when someone removes a brick and carries it for you. I'm like, it's so beautiful. I love it. Like, it's just more moments between Tress and the rest of the crew that you just love it. And she really comes into her element at this point, where Tress is the pirate captain, but you start fearing so much for like what's going to happen when they reach the end of this, because Tress is determined to save Charlie, but it's also like she has changed so much on this journey. Like, she went from a simple lover of cups who is just so normal and so unadventurous kind of thing to literally a pirate captain. And so she has changed so much. And then it's like, how has Charlie changed? Like, because surely they go sail the four seas together forever, but that was nothing that Charlie wanted. And also him being enslaved and captured by this sorceress, how has he changed? And it even says that sort of in the book, that she could no longer like enjoy Charlie as he was because of how much she had changed. Like, she went on this adventure to find him, but it had fundamentally changed who she was, that she couldn't enjoy unchanged Charlie. And the sorceress presents that to her, but she can't accept it. And that was pretty good. That was really good. And it turns out that the rat was Charlie all along, so it was fine. And I should have seen it coming, but I just didn't want to set myself up for too much heartache. And it was so good. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And that Charlie lets her in on his curse and brings her to defeat the sorceress, and that she can't do it without the help of her crew. I think that's really amazing and such a like powerful story. And it's so beautiful. There's like a line that goes, "Pray you meet such a woman at least once in your life. Then pray you get out of her way quickly enough." Like, that is so good. And it's just so amazing. And it speaks on this, like, there's also these other lines where it says, it's okay to be rescued. It's totally fine, provided you are someone who is worthy of being saved. And I think that's really beautiful as well, that you should rely on people's help, especially when they're willing and when they trust that you're a person who deserves it. When they're ready for that and you're ready for that. I don't know, I thought it was a beautiful kind of line. And I love that they do end up sailing this 4C together. And, you know, she's the ship captain and he's the ship storyteller. Like, it's just so beautiful. And I love that it's kind of like modeled a little bit after their lives. And I do have one main gripe, that is that the poem that turns them back into being human and everything like that is not said at all to us at the end. That was very, very annoying. I was very, very mad. And the bad thing was too that I just finished writing a short story called A Grave Affair, where the character like whispers something to her husband just as they die, but I don't reveal to the audience what it was. And I was like, okay, I am never going to do that again. I have learnt from this just how unsatisfying that is as a reader, and I refuse to do it again. I will not do it because it drove me mad. And I was like, okay, fair. I won't do it. So yeah, that was really interesting. And I love Laggett. I love it when books do that, when they show you two characters who both Crow and Laggett had never experienced love before or anything like that, but shows the two directions you can take with that. How Laggett actually eventually accepted it into his life, learnt from it, and learnt how to kind of like show those bits of like, you know, loyalty within a crew and the genuine quality mateship that they have with one another that is just beautiful. And that he was able to learn that. I really appreciate that within a book. So yeah, overall, I really loved it. I think it's like one of my absolute favorites. And the fact that his wife and him kept it to themselves for 2 years, and that it was based off, apparently they watched The Princess Bride together as a family, and Emily and his kids sort of brought up this thing of like, what would have happened if Buttercup didn't just abandon and like immediately assume, like leave Wesley for dead? Like, what if she didn't do that? What if she actually, you know, had some agency and went and found him? And so that was how this book was kind of born, and I really love that. I think it's really great. He also said at the end that someday we might get Hoyd's backstory, which I am very much looking forward to. I think that will be absolutely lovely. Now I guess you can go enjoy yourself in the reviews on Goodreads, because some of them are absolutely hilarious. And I will see you 1st of next month for Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. That'll be really cool. All right, bye.